Broadcasting live from the Albay PIO News Center, providing you the most exclusive news update from all over the province. This is News at 12. In the local scene, the provincial government of Albay received additional livestock assistance as Mayon volcano remains under alert level 3. The Albay Veterinary Office accepted vet supplies from the Department of Agriculture Regional Field Office 5 to support animals affected by the ongoing volcanic activity. Officials said the aid is intended to protect the health and mobility of livestock displaced to evacuation centers or relocated to safer areas. The donation include nylon ropes, dewormers, and vitamins to address immediate animal health needs. The Albay Veterinary Office continues to monitor livestock conditions to reduce the impact of the unrest on the province's agricultural sector. In other story, the Provincial Social Welfare and Development Office led the first quarter meeting of the Albay Kalipunan ng Liping Pilipina Federation to set priorities for 2026. Kalipi members from across the province gathered to review accomplishments and strengthen women-focused programs. Discussions focused on local government fourth quarter reports, the Federation's financial status, and preparations for the 2026 National Women's Month celebration. Members also received updates on livelihood assistance, the upcoming synchronized elections, and the updating of the Kalipi master list. Officials said the meeting reinforced the provincial government's commitment to empowering Albayano women. In other news, the Albay Provincial Human Settlement Office conducted a site inspection with families displaced by Mayon volcano unrest in Malilipot and covered barangays Calbayog, San Roque, and San Jose. Officials assessed the situation of evacuees and identified their immediate housing needs. Data showed that 408 families or 1,487 individuals from the 3 barangays are staying in evacuation centers. The inspection also validated records to ensure interventions match actual conditions on the ground. A total of 101 families have already been allocated housing units under the National Housing Authority Malilipot Ville 1 project. The provincial government of Albay said it continues to prioritize safe and sustainable housing solutions for affected communities. In the national scene, the Philippine National Police on Monday reported a 24.32% drop in crime nationwide in January 2026, with 2,449 recorded incidents compared to 3,236 during the same period last year. PNP Chief General Jose Melencio Nartates Jr. said focused crimes such as murder, homicide, physical injury, rape, robbery, theft, and carnapping all declined based on data from January 1 to 31, 2026. Murder cases fell to 284 from 316. Homicide dropped to 83 from 104. Physical injury went down to 283 from 409, and rape cases sharply decreased to 331 from 848 year-on-year. Cases of kidnapping also declined, with incidents involving motor vehicles dropping to 17 from 25 and motorcycle carnapping decreasing to 144 from 189. While police arrested 2,086 most wanted persons and 5,073 other fugitives during the month. Nartates added that police seized 651 million pesos worth of illegal drugs and 1.95 billion pesos worth of suspected smuggled goods in separate operations, leading to the arrest of more than 5,400 individuals in January 2026. In other story, Makabayan lawmakers refiled an impeachment complaint against Vice President Sara Duterte over alleged misuse of confidential funds, citing betrayal of public trust during budget deliberations and naming former lawmakers and activists as complainants. A separate complaint backed by Akbayan and ML party list lawmakers accused Duterte of constitutional violations, graft, bribery, and other high crimes, citing a former aide's statement alleging misuse of funds and illegal campaign financing, claims her defense dismissed as politically driven. Representative Antonio Tinio said the new complaint was filed after a Supreme Court ruling clarified a one-year impeachment ban and accused Duterte of gross abuse of discretion involving 612.5 million pesos in confidential funds, including questioned spending flagged by the Commission on Audit. The Supreme Court earlier ruled that a previous impeachment attempt was unconstitutional and barred by the one-year rule, saying the Senate never gained jurisdiction and clarifying that a session day means a calendar day when the House actually meets. However, House leaders remain divided on whether the impeachment ban ended on January 15 or February 6, 2026, following differing interpretations of the court's decision and the counting of session days. In other news, Senate President pro tempore Panfilo Lacson compared alleged threats to Senate President Vicente Tito Soto III to rebellion, calling them a continuing crime since time immemorial. Lacson addressed what he called an emerging threat to Soto's leadership in a post on X on Monday. He admitted that threat was based on rumors, saying, "Through rumors were all Senate coups start anyways." Attempts to get a comment from Soto were unsuccessful as of the time of posting. Soto has faced austere threats since he became Senate President in September, taking over from Francisco Escudero, who was linked to controversial flood control projects. In November, Soto acknowledged hearing stories of possible movements against him, but said he would leave the matter to the judgment and trust of his colleagues. And in the news outside the country, Israel partially reopened the Rafah crossing between Gaza and Egypt on Sunday, allowing limited passage of people after months of closure. The move comes amid ongoing violence in Gaza, with the territory's civil defense reporting dozens killed in Israeli strikes on Saturday, while Israel cited retaliation for truce violations. The crossing, critical for civilians and aid, had largely remained closed since Israeli forces took control in May 2024, except for a brief reopening in early 2025. COGAT, Israel's coordinating body for Palestinian civilian affairs, described the reopening as a pilot phase, with entry and exit subject to prior security clearance and EU supervision. Patients and students in Gaza expressed urgency, with many waiting for medical treatment or educational opportunities abroad once the crossing became operational. The reopening is also expected to allow members of the Palestinian National Committee for the Administration of Gaza to begin their governance role, though full entry and operation plans remain under preparation. In other story, Kitakyushu in southwestern Japan saw the biggest population drop among major cities with special administrative powers, falling 6.5% from 970,000 to 910,000. The system that gives these cities extra authority, started in 1956, was built on the idea that populations would keep growing. Other cities like Shizuoka, also saw declines, dropping 6.0% from 710,000 to 670,000 over the past decade. Meanwhile, Fukuoka, Saitama, and Kawasaki grew the farthest, with Fukuoka up to 8.2% to 1.6 million people. Lawmakers are now considering giving these cities more independence and money, as many struggle to handle their duties while populations shrink. And finally, in the news outside the country, Interpol has issued a red notice for the arrest of Indonesian oil tycoon Mohamed Riza Khalid over a $285 million corruption scandal. The 66-year-old, known as the gasoline godfather, is accused of money laundering and manipulating a lease agreement, a state-owned oil company, Pertamina, from 2018 to 2023. Interpol sent the notice to all 196 member countries to help locate and arrest Riza, though authorities did not reveal his exact location. Riza, his son, and several Pertamina officials allegedly imported overseas crude oil at inflated prices instead of sourcing it domestically, breaking Indonesian law. His passport was revoked last October as Indonesia continues to battle corruption that has recently seen top officials jailed for crimes costing the country hundreds of millions. And that's all for the News at 12, February 3, 2026. We'll be back tomorrow for more news updates. Thanks to our news writer, LJ Lurejo and Naomi Ruth Hernandez. And on the technical side, Ted Bobis. And our Provincial Information Officer, OIC, Moni Gonzalez. And under the supervision of our Governor, Noel E. Rosal, I am Greg Hallare. Thank you for subscribing. Albay in my heart.